Search warrants that led to drugs and weapons also led to a video camera storing these images. They show a gang initiation rite called a jump-in.
Ever wondered what goes on behind the scenes of female gang culture? Well, get ready to be amazed, because did you know that one of their initiation rituals involves jumped and sexed in? Let's dive into the mysterious world of gang initiation rituals performed by females. Number 10. Blessed in. I'll start with a slow one. You know, sometimes women become part of a gang without the usual initiation rituals. This person, in a way, blessed in or courted in. It's like an exclusive invitation for someone with a unique skill or resource that the gang finds valuable. Maybe they're skilled at finding and handling illegal substances, or perhaps they excel at swiping cars. Sometimes it's as simple as having a car that the gang needs for their activities or just for getting around town unnoticed. This method is quite rare, but the common rituals aren't usually this easy. Number 9 is kidnapping. If you ever wondered how far a person can go just to prove their worth to get into a gang, you might want to see this case. Well, here we have Callie, a former senior gang leader. For getting into a local gang, she kidnapped her friend and convinced her friend to have intimacy for money. This is the most common method of gang initiation for girls, as it's believed to prove the capability of a member. But in the case of Callie, her acts landed her with 2 sentences. 3 years and 18 months for kidnapping and forced intimacy at 13. Next up is abused in. The abused in gang initiation ritual is a deeply disturbing practice that involves the assault and gang abuse of new female recruits by existing members. This brutal act is used to demonstrate dominance, control, and power over the recruits while subjecting them to extreme physical and psychological trauma. This initiation ritual is not a common or widely accepted practice among gangs, but may occur in certain instances within particularly violent and predatory groups. Such rituals represent a severe violation of human rights and the law, leading to profound physical and emotional harm to the victims. When even some gang members are saying you're pushing it, then you know you're pushing it. Famous gangs such as MS-13 and Latin Kings are known to use these as a gang initiation ritual for female wannabe members. Number 7 is gang abuse.
Gang members, and unfortunately some of this sex isn't consensual, but if it's not consensual, it's rape.
So what do you do if you find yourself in this situation? How do you cope and how do you get out? I spoke with somebody who knew all the answers to these questions. I want to begin by asking you, why was it that you joined a gang in the first place? What led you to do that?
I rebelled, basically. So I left home at the age of 13 and just moved around on the street with certain people. Started smoking cannabis and I just got deeper and deeper and deeper into it. From the age of say 13 to 38 when it all stopped, eventually, through the whole of my ordeal, I've been kidnapped, I've been tortured, I've been raped, I've gone through domestic violence, abuse, physically, emotionally, so
Unfortunately, this is very often used as a gang initiation ritual for females. This is a slightly different approach than abused in, and here if a girl wants to get into a gang, she has to roll the dice first. Then the number that comes up is determined as the number of male members of the gang who will have intimacy with her. It's different from abused in because here, to join the gang, she either has to recruit another girl or the girl herself must participate, whether willingly or unwillingly. Jumped in. This initiation method can be incredibly harsh and dangerous when performed on girl recruits. Here, new members might find themselves physically attacked by existing gang members, and tragically, sometimes these beatings can lead to fatal outcomes. Surprisingly, research suggests that young people are more likely to get hurt during a gang initiation than if they refuse to join altogether. The specifics of this ritual can vary from one gang to another, but typically it involves the recruit having to fight against 3 or more gang members for a set duration. The purpose behind this brutality is to assess the recruit's toughness and willingness to stand up for the gang. Take the example of Christina Cruz, who grew up in a gang-dominated area in northeast Los Angeles.
Girls, right? But They were like, no, she's like, we got to get you a game because we didn't get you good. Like, bro, you guys are two big ass fucking girls. Fucking, I'm all small, you know? But whatever, we were still friends. Like, those my best friends. Like, so.
Sadly, at a young age, she was subjected to the jumped-in ritual to become part of the gang. This path led her into a life of crime and substance addiction, which ultimately resulted in her facing severe consequences. Here is number 5, jacked in. And this is how this one goes down. To prove their worth and earn a spot in the gang, a potential female member should steal a car, often at gunpoint, to showcase their boldness. If they succeed, they're welcomed as a full-fledged member. A fine example of this ritual happened in January of 2008. A 17-year-old named Charles Brown in Camisha Lake, New York, climbed into a parked car with 3 people already inside. The kid pointed a gun at the driver, making him hand over the car. What seemed like a car theft was an initiation attempt to join a local Crips gang. This initiation process reveals the dangerous lengths some individuals go to become part of a gang, even risking their freedom and the safety of others in the process. Number 4 is fire trial. Trial by fire is a term used to describe a dangerous and often illegal initiation ritual within some gangs.
Case of a vicious gang initiation killing of a 16-year-old girl moves forward. Arnisha Bowers was found murdered, her body set on fire inside a Northeast Baltimore home. One of her alleged killers is just...
In this initiation, the selected female recruits are required to engage in an act involving fire, which symbolizes their commitment to the gang and their willingness to take extreme risks. These activities can vary widely, but often involve incidents such as setting fire to objects or property. These rituals are not only illegal, but also pose significant dangers to both the participants and the surrounding community. In December of 2011, the Burja Center gang imposed a test on wannabe girl members. They were asked to set a dumpster on fire, which rapidly spread to a nearby mall and tragically burned it to the ground. But I guess, what else did they really expect? Kicking off our top 3 is unaliving rituals. Girl gangs, which are mostly formed based on rejection, hatred, or getting cheated on by families, use this method as a gang initiation for new girl recruits. Stabbings as a gang initiation ritual, though, are pretty brutal practices that show the cruel reality of gang life. In these initiation ceremonies, new members are often required to commit a stabbing, typically targeting a rival gang member, to prove their loyalty and toughness. The example of Brenda Paz will show you the dark depths of such rituals. Brenda was just a 17-year-old former gang member who had turned FBI informant. I'd say that's a promotion if I've ever heard one. But in 2003, she met a tragic end.
Hospital or the cemetery.
Her words were prophetic. Within the year, she was found murdered on the banks of the Shenandoah River. She had been stabbed repeatedly, and her throat had been slit. And the autopsy revealed something else.
She was found stabbed on the banks of the Shenandoah River in Virginia, paying the price for cooperating with authorities to expose Mara Salvatrucha's criminal activities. The 2 former associates of Salvatrucha were eventually convicted of her unaliving, though. Number 2 is cutting. Cutting as a gang initiation ritual is a shocking and painful practice that aims to prove a woman's loyalty to the gang. This initiation can involve using a sharp object, like a razor, to cut the skin of the woman being initiated. In some cases, they might target themselves willingly, while others are forced into it. For example, in 2008, a disturbing incident occurred at a Coney Island school where 3 kids were charged by the police.
They say MS-13 was on the prowl again, this time with baseball bats on Tuesday, assaulting other teenagers, till detectives held them at gunpoint.
They literally prevented a murder of a 16-year-old boy at the hands of MS-13.
The Suffolk County Police Commissioner late today describing what became a dramatic arrest.
They had cut over a dozen fellow students with a razor blade as part of an initiation into a local MS-13 gang. Some students participated willingly, while others were held down against a desk and forcibly cut. What's something concerning is that both boys and girls can be subjected to these initiation rituals. It's troubling how gangs can manipulate and harm young people, leaving them with physical and emotional scars that can last a lifetime. And finally, at number 1 is blood in. In South Africa's Western Cape prison system, you will find the notorious numbers gangs made up of three main groups, the 26s, the 27s, and 28s. These gangs have a history, some dating back to 1812.
Brutally murdered at the hands of MS-13. They had buried him back in the wooded area here behind the football field.
Do you think that the police crackdown has actually driven the problem even more underground?
Absolutely, absolutely. And as we had mentioned earlier, there is a very distinct absence of gang graffiti.
Among these gangs, the 28s are infamous for their extreme brutality. The women who are willing to join this gang face an initiation choice to climb the ranks, the gold line or the silver line. The gold line involves proving themselves by physically attacking correctional officers, essentially advancing through violence. On the other hand, the silver line is a horrifying option for those who are forced into becoming intimacy slaves for higher-ranking members.
28.
What gang do you belong to? The 26s, yeah? You in the 28s?
The 28 acting as the CEOs and leaders. The 27 are the policymakers and defenders of their laws, whereas the 26 are the economic and finance guys. They have their own laws that are followed by both inmates and prison guards, and this is how they govern and control the whole prison.
But have you maybe witnessed any such gang initiation rituals? If so, let me know how that went in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching, we really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next video. But until then, take care, and we'll see you later.